Good morning, my dear children, and welcome to the presentation of The Model Millionaire by Oscar Wilde. So, we are reading the story. So, we have learned that Huey Erskine is the main character of the story. He was very handsome, very good looking. He has tried to work hard in many businesses, like in stock exchange, tree trading, and in other businesses too. But he didn't succeed in any of that. He loved a girl named Laura and he wanted to marry her. But the colonel who was the father of Laura, he was not willing to do the engagement because he wanted Huey to possess 10,000 pounds at least. The money should be 10,000 pounds if he wanted to marry Laura. So one day Huey went to Alan Trevor's house. Alan Trevor was the friend of Huey Erskine, and he has seen over there that a beggar was standing on a wooden platform, and Alan Trevor was drawing him over the easel. So the beggar looked very miserable, very dreadful. So Huey felt pity for him. He was very sympathetic towards him. So he helped him with a sovereign. See, he wanted to help him by giving the poor old beggar some money. So he helped him by giving him a sovereign. On that night only, he met Alan Trevor in Pallet Club in about 9 o'clock. And Alan Trevor told him that he has informed the old beggar everything about Huey. And the old beggar seemed very interested to learn more about Laura. After hearing to this information, Huey Erskine became very angry. So let us start today with our lesson and learn what happens after that. So as I have told you that Huey Erskine became very angry as Alan Trevor had told about Laura to that old beggar. So he said, "You told that old beggar all my private affairs. How could you? How could you do that?" cried Huey, looking very red and angry. "My dear boy," said Trevor, smiling, "that old beggar, as you call him, is one of the richest men in Europe. He could buy all London tomorrow without withdrawing his account. He has a huge house in every capital, dines off gold crockery, and can prevent Russia going to war when he chooses." So Alan Trevor told Huey that the old beggar who was being drawn by him on that day, he was none but one of the richest men in Europe, and he can buy all London tomorrow without withdrawing his account. That means he was a very, very rich man. Okay, and not only rich, but he was powerful too. He was so rich that he can take his food from the gold crockery. And he was very powerful to prevent Russia from going into the war if he likes to do that. He was that powerful. "So what on earth do you mean?" exclaimed Huey. So Huey asked Alan, "What do you mean?" "What I say," said Trevor, "the old man you saw today in my studio was Baron Horsburgh. He is a great friend of mine, buys all my pictures and that sort of thing, and gave me a commission a month ago to paint him as a beggar. And I must say he made a magnificent figure in his rags, or perhaps I should say in my rags. They are an old suit I got in Spain." So Alan told him that the beggar man was none but Baron Horsburgh. he was a great friend of Alan, and he has given him some money so that he could draw a picture of him in the old tattered clothes, and that rags that he was wearing on that day, that rags were of Alan's, and he bought it in from Spain. Baron Hosburg, cried Hughie, good heavens! I gave him a sovereign! And he sank into his armchair, the picture of dismay. So Hughie became very upset. That is Baron Hosburg? Good heavens! What are you telling me? I gave him money. I gave him a coin. How is it possible? So foolish am I that I have given him a sovereign. He sank into his armchair. He suddenly sat down in his armchair, and he looked very disappointed. Gave him a sovereign, shouted Trevor, and he burst into a roar of laughter. So he started laughing because he has given one of the richest men in the country, he has given that man a coin. My dear boy, you will never see it again. Oh, what did you do? Alan Trevor said that what did you do? You have given the one of the richest men in the country a sovereign. You will never see it again. I think you might have told me, Alan, said Hughie sulkily, and not have let me make such a fool of myself. So Hughie told Alan that you should have told me that he is not a real beggar. He is Baron Hosburg. You should have told me. And you should stop me from making such a fool of myself. You should have told me so that I couldn't make myself a fool. Well, to begin with, Hughie, said Trevor, it never entered my mind that you went about distributing alms in the reckless way. So Alan said in return that it never occurred to me ever that you'll be distributing your money in a very careless way to some poor old beggar. You'll be distributing money. So this thing didn't enter in my mind. I can understand you're kissing a pretty model, but you're giving a sovereign to an ugly one. By Jove, no. So he said, I can understand if you are kissing a good, beautiful model. That much I can understand. But you are giving a coin to an ugly model. That I didn't understand. That I never imagined. And besides, when you came in, I didn't know whether Hosburg would like his name mentioned. So you know he wasn't in full dress. And Alan also said that I didn't know whether Mr. Baron Hosburg would like to disclose his true identity or not. That I didn't know. So that is why I didn't disclose his true identity to anyone else. And in another way, moreover, he was not fully dressed as a baron. So that is why I didn't disclose his true identity. What a duffer! He must think me, said Hughie. So Hughie said, he must have been thinking me as a fool, as a duffer. Duffer means fool. So Alan said, not at all. He was in the highest spirit after you left. He was very happy after he met you. He was in a very high spirit after he met you on that day. He kept chuckling to himself. He kept smiling to himself and rubbing his old wrinkled hands together. He was rubbing his hands together. His hands which are very wrinkled because of the old age. So that is why, so he was wrinkling his two hands together. He might be thinking something. That's why he was rubbing his two hands together. I couldn't make out why he was so interested to know all about you. I didn't understand on that day why he was so interested to learn about you, to know all the things about you. But I see it all now. But now I can understand why he was so interested on that day. He will invest your sovereign for you. He will pay you the interest every 6 months and have a capital story to tell after dinner. I think he will be there to help you. So that is why he asked everything about you. So he was very interested about you. So that is why he wanted to return the money to you. So because of that he was asking many questions about you to me. I am an unlucky devil, growled Hughie. The best thing I can do is to go to bed. And my dear Alan, you mustn't tell anyone. I shouldn't dare show my face in the row. So he said, I'm very unlucky. And he was repenting. He was repenting and he was telling that I'm very unlucky that this thing happened to me. The best thing that I can do is now I should go to bed. And Alan, please do not tell my story to anyone else. Nonsense! It reflects the highest credit on your philanthropic spirit, Hughie, and don't run away. Have a latte, and you can talk about Laura as much as you like. So Alan said, you have done a wonderful job. You have shown your philanthropic spirit. Philanthropic spirit means that you are generous. Your generous spirit. Your generousness towards humanity. You are very charitable. You helped a man who is in need. So that is why don't be shy. Don't run away. Have a coffee with me and let's talk about Laura. However, Hughie was not interested to talk about Laura on that day. So he walked home, feeling very unhappy and leaving Alan Trevor in his fits of laughter. So Alan Trevor kept on laughing while Hughie went home, feeling very unhappy. The next morning at breakfast, the servant brought him up a card on which it was written, Monsieur Gustave Naudin. Monsieur means, it is in French means Mr. Mr. Gustave Naudin or Naudin. You can pronounce it as Naudin in French. On behalf of Monsieur Baron Hosborg. So I suppose he has come for an apology, said Hughie to himself. So Hughie told to himself that might be Baron Hosborg might has come over here to say sorry. I suppose he has come for an apology, said Hughie to himself. An old gentleman with gold spectacles and grey hair came into the room and said in a slight French accent, Have I the honor of addressing Monsieur Erskine? Hughie bowed. So a gentleman came inside the room and he met Hughie. I have come from Baron Hosborg, he continued. The Baron. I beg, sir, that you will offer my sincerest apologies, stammered Hughie. Hughie was not able to speak properly because he was so excited, he was so nervous because whatever stupid thing he has done. So he was very nervous because of that. He said that please offer my apology, apology to sincerest apology to the Baron. I am very sorry for whatever I have done. I have considered him, I have imagined him as a beggar man. I have given him the money, the coin to help him. Please, I am sorry. Please take my sincerest apology for that. The Baron, said the old gentleman with a smile, has commissioned me to bring you this letter, and he extended a sealed envelope. So the man has given Hughie a sealed envelope and told him that Baron told me to give this letter to you. On the outside was written a wedding present to Hugh Erskine and Laura Martin from an old beggar, and inside was a cheque for £10,000. So Hughie Erskine received a small envelope where the Baron has given him £10,000 as a wedding present to Hughie Erskine and Laura Martin. When they were married, Alan Trevor was the best man, and the Baron made a speech at the wedding breakfast. Millionaire models, remarked Alan, are rare enough, but believe me, model millionaires are rarer still. So the story focuses on the importance of charity and kindness or generosity to other fellow human beings. This short story is clearly focused on the importance of wealth in Victorian England in the time when the writer was writing this short story. However, wealth seems to be important for men and not necessarily for women. In the narrative, we see the main character, that is Hughie Erskine. He has failed to adapt to a materialistic society, and as a result, he cannot marry the woman whom he loves most honestly because he didn't have money. The story also presents morality and beauty as important as wealth. The narrator clearly emphasizes that wealth alone is not enough to make friends, to be accepted in society, and to be considered as a good human being. While Hughie Erskine has no fortune of his own, and he might be called today a loser, he compensates through his charm, good nature, and kindness. All the characters in the story represents the class. Hughie, Laura, the colonel, and Alan, Hughie represent the middle class. The Baron represents the upper class people. So I think students, you have quite enjoyed reading the short story Model Millionaire with me. Thank you, students.